to survive the classroom.
Let's go ahead and listen to the first voice memo that was sent to us this week.
Oh, Lord. I was a first-year teacher, and I had a kid in my classroom. The kids loved me, and I was loving on them and started nicknaming my kids critters from that point forward. And this guy, his name was Ashton, and he's grown up and engaged now. It's great to see him being so successful. Great athlete, but he was getting himself into a hot mess all the time. And by accident, one day I called him Aston, which was so fitting, honestly, as an eighth grader. But the big kicker came right after I was named new Educator of the Year. He was in class, and I loved this class. They were so precious. He was in class, and he was doing something he shouldn't have been doing. And I literally said, I wanted to say, could you please stop jacking around? I said, could you please stop jacking off?
Oh.
And the whole class of eighth graders literally just stopped. Just looked at me, knowing full well that I did not mean to say that. And when he just smiled and buried his head, and I was beat red, and the rest of the class started busting out laughing. And I just said, "Oh my gosh, I did not mean to say that." And they were all like, we know, you didn't mean to say that." Oh my gosh, I was so embarrassed. But there have been a million moments like that since then, but that was the one that stands out most. So embarrassing.
Oh my gosh. As soon as you said what you meant to say, I knew what you accidentally said. It's so hard because you're literally talking to 30-ish, 40-ish kids all day, every day. You have a million different things, a million decisions you're making, and then all of a sudden you mix up one word. And that's all it takes. It's so bad. I used to try so hard to like avoid specific words, which is difficult because in each of like the specialties, I feel like there's specific terms that you have to use, right? And for an English teacher, I always had to use the word climax when we were talking about story structure. And so we would talk about it and I would be like, okay, like you want the point, like it's even as I say it now, like you're talking about like the moment of conflict is finally resolved, is how I would try and say it. But as you're discussing it, you're like, do you feel like all this pressure is building up? Do you feel like the tension that's happening here? And then the moment of the climax of the story. And there's no way, especially when you're speaking to middle and high schoolers, to not accidentally say some things. And it's so difficult because I'm the worst about this. Big shocker, right? I'm the worst. And I'm trying so hard not to say things that are inappropriate and all of that. But like sometimes you think it's inappropriate, even when they haven't caught on. I've had that happen a couple of times where I heard it and maybe one other kid heard it. And like if we make eye contact, I'm done. And so I might say something like, okay, and then it's going to be so great when we get to the climax, for example. And then I would see one kid like kind of like duck his head. And then I would be like, can't look at that kid. And I would have to push on. So whenever you have those moments, you just got to keep going. So that way you don't even leave air in the room to let that moment breathe. You just keep running through, and that way a lot of times it helps, but not always. Let's be honest. There's definitely been some times where I'm like, crap. And I had one of those moments recently. I have been working with. See, again, there's no. It's like it's this part of me of being a teacher for so long. You know how when you are sealing the crevices around windows and windowsills and like the what are they called, like the kickboards on the ground and all of that, you seal it with CAULK, which is pronounced cock. And it's so funny because I also shared this online. So if you already saw that, like, you know where this is headed, but like the amount of people that were like, no, it's caulk. You don't, it's like, I Googled it, like it's cock. And while I was working on it, like I ended up getting a bunch of it in my hair and it's white. And so I would have like, and it was like right at the front of my hair, because obviously my hair would like fall forward and it would like get on it. And so I had like as the school year was wrapping up, I was doing final visits with all of these different students and teachers and stuff. And so I had like a middle schooler ask me like, what's in your hair? And I was like, oh, dang it. Yeah, I've been doing like a bunch of caulking around the house. And they're like, what? And I was like, like getting in the corners and the crevices and getting the caulk in there. It's so unfortunate. And like the look on their faces, like, is this woman for real right now? And like I just kept going until they kind of looked at each other and I realized then what I had said. And I'm like, oh no, 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 no. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. So we've all been there. I feel like every teacher has accidentally said something, and some teachers are mature and are just like, I'm not going to acknowledge that there is a possible double meaning to what I just said. I have never been that teacher. I have always been the teacher that is going to absolutely start laughing because I am not mature enough to not, unfortunately, for me. Or fortunately, what are we doing if we don't have a little spice in our lives? Unintentional Spice Girls reference. On that note, let's listen to the second voice memo that was sent in. Thank you so much for watching. Want more of How to Survive the Classroom? You can watch the rest of the episode right now. Just click on that little box over there. Do you see it? And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Okay, bye.